Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Ecology of population. Population is the number of a particular species living in a habitat. Ecological succession is the progressive natural development of vegetation towards a climax during which one community is gradually replaced by others. The characteristics of succession are: 1. It is observed in newly formed natural habitat. Simpler organisms are always the first to inhabit a habitat, for example the mosses, algae, ferns and mold. Plants are always the first to inhabit the habitat since they are producers. Plants go through the sear, that is different stages of succession undergone by plants before a climax is reached. The sear is reminiscent of going from simpler to complex vegetation, and also succession is orderly, predictable and directional. The outcome of succession are: 1. Simpler organisms are replaced by more complex ones in an evolutionary trend sequence. 2. Replacement is very fast. 3. Changes in the physical environment is attained from the structural changes of the species and the activities of the community. 4. Equilibrium point is reached through colonization of the abandoned farmland by a wide variety of organisms that are just the same with a neighboring habitat. And 5. Climax forms the final stage of succession. We have the primary succession, succession in lake, succession in ponds, succession in estuary, secondary succession and overcrowding. Primary succession starts on the site, for example lava flows, etc., which have not previously borne vegetation. Succession in lakes. In succession in lake, the newly formed lake will be harboring alluvium of soil. Producers like phytoplanktons, spirogyra and blue-green algae will be the first occupants, that is the primary succession, followed by the zooplanktons as well as protozoa like amoeba and paramecium, before submerged rooted plants, and finally other floating rooted aquatic plants like the water lettuce, followed by animals such as water scorpion and possibly the fish. Succession in ponds. The first colonizers are submerged rooted aquatic plants, followed by floating and rooted aquatic plants, before marsh or wet soil with partially submerged plants, for example the rushes, reeds, etc., and later dry soil appears with growth of shrubs and finally trees. Succession in estuary. The point at which the river meets the sea might be overflown. This carries with it soil and silt deposits which with time accumulate into a bare mud saturated with salt. The first plants to inhabit the salty and muddy habitat are the red mangroves. With their stilt roots, they hold firmly to the muddy bank. They are followed by crabs. As the bank keeps on rising, white mangrove with breathing roots follow suit. The slugs, water snails and worms join other colonizers. With droppings from birds and excreta from animals, more plants like the epiphytes, ferns, grasses, shrubs and trees are able to grow. With an increase in humus, a normal forest flora and fauna emerges to form a stable community referred to as climax. The secondary succession. Secondary succession is the one which follows the destruction of part or all the original vegetation of an area. Examples are the growing of vegetation after road construction in an area, colonization of burnt farmland with new set of plants, and the growing of vegetation in an abandoned farmland. Colonization of farmland results in exposing the land to sun, which is loved by grasses and herbs. Shrubs take over, and after which trees are seen in the habitat. More changes attract few animals, since only the presence of trees will give them the needed support. The rodents that go deeper on the ground to avoid fire come up. More trees grow to make the vegetation harbor more animals like the herbivores and even carnivores, as the vegetation wears more complex looks. Abandoned farmland. In the case of abandoned farmland, like insect eggs, larvae, worms, dormant seeds, and some rhizomes are present from the outset. Grasses take over, followed by hatched insects and herbs. Rodents now enjoy more vegetation. Reptiles and herbivores emerge. Shrubs are seen, followed by trees. Higher animals like carnivores and some omnivores, for example the monkeys, are seen. At a point, climax vegetation is reached. Overcrowding. In overcrowding, if the space occupied by individuals, that is plants or animals, is such that when compared to their number is small, they are said to be overcrowded. Factors that may cause overcrowding are: 1. Natality, which is the rate at which people give birth. Mortality rate, which is the rate at which people die. Immigration, social habits, inadequate means of dispersal, and lack of predators. Effects of overcrowding are: 1. Space is in short supply. 2. Food shortage is unavoidable. 3. There is intra or interspecies competition. 4. Preying on each other occurs. 5. There is the presence of predators, that is the prey relationship. 6. Cannibalism might ensue. 7. Death might result from choky environments. In adaptation to avoid overcrowding, individuals are dispersed. Spores so formed are spread out. Breeding in a place far from home or place of abode. There is emigration. Males that cannot procreate are given birth to. Fewer young ones are given birth to. And also, avoiding old colonies to establish new ones are employed. Food shortage can be caused by: 1. Inability to store food. 2. Drought. Poor yield due to poor soil. Very low rainfall. 5. Famine. 6. Spoilage due to lack of preservation. 7. Overpopulation. 8. Immigration of people might destroy crops. 9. Overflooding. Bushfire, which might destroy crops. The effects of food shortage on site's population are: the available food will be competed for, and this will result in death. Emigration, in that people will flee for greener pasture. There will be increase in mortality rates, that is, increase in the rate at which people die. The rate at which people reproduce will reduce, and people will not put in their best in terms of production.